Okay.
Hello, my name is Paola East, and this video is a talk on globalization from a socio-economic point of view. The main idea of globalization is that it is a process of international and personal integration. Though I am now in England, I can send you this video and communicate by telephone and email, which I wouldn't have been able to do 100 years ago and even 20 years ago. Globalization had its key start with the Industrial Revolution. But the Industrial Revolution alone would be insufficient because there was also a scientific revolution that took place. As you may know, the Industrial Revolution was at first resisted by manual workers because the machines that were invented needed only a few people to maintain production. Even today, globalization is proved to bring less work to some people and more work to others. The difference between these two sets of people is their educational level, which also alters their economic level. On one hand, we have the first world countries, and on the other hand, we have the third world countries. Third world countries like Mexico produce food in the way of vegetables and fruit. Tourism and petroleum are its two other main ways of production and making money. The rest of the necessities of the country are dependent on the highly industrialized countries, which can be recognized by their number of patents they produce. And these are the United States of America and Japan. Their multinationals are set up in the third world countries, and this is made easy because of the treaties between the countries. For Mexico, the TLCAN, or the Free Commerce Treaty of North America, is the key treaty. This has helped Mexico hugely because it exports food, but from another point of view, it might be damaging. This is because research and development are carried out mostly exclusively in the multinational's parent country. This does not only impact Mexico, but throughout the whole of the developing world. While the first world countries gain by paying low wages in third world countries, so their costs of production are lowered, the second and third world countries lose out because their industries cannot compete with the higher standards the multinationals bring in. The way to change this is by designing a better education system that has a focus on high quality science and technology, and that will produce an educated population that will be able to create industries that can compete with the multinationals. The benefits of globalization are that there are fewer monopolies and more competition. This allows companies to compare themselves to others and create a chain of increasingly better development. Monopolies can be a big issue, even in the global economy, for they decrease the rate of development of a country. A monopoly controls all aspects of its market and kills off new competition. Witness Microsoft's attempt to do this. Although globalization can sometimes bring a Pareto optimum, which is when the economy's resources and output are allocated in such a way that no act can make anyone better off without making at least one other person worse off, there can also be a Pareto improvement, in which nobody has to be worse off to make something better. This Pareto improvement can occur because globalization provides goods for everyone, and free trade makes this ever easier all the time. The state may well intervene against free trade for non-economic reasons, but should not for economic ones. As was said before, this creates a market flexibility. Another thing that creates market flexibility is privatization. privatization is used mainly to convert public ownership into private ownership. Available private land allows for industrial activity with much less need of government regulation. Lower and fewer tariffs and reducing delays at national and state borders are also key advantages of globalization. Statistics show that the level of poverty has reduced steadily over the past 30 years. We should also remember that the world population has grown by at least half in this period. The OPEC Treaty, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, was a very intelligent strategy. It was designed so that countries within it, such as Algeria and Iraq, would be able to sell oil at a reasonable price, which the US would have to meet. Before the OPEC Treaty, the US would only buy at the lowest price offered by individual producers, to all of the producers' loss. New forms of communication, such as the internet, have ensured it only takes a few seconds for data relevant to these treaties to cross the world. This is a huge bonus of globalization. Population growth also strengthens globalization because it causes immigration to places where there is more employment and opportunities, like the first world countries, especially the United States. Yet, family and other personal ties are still maintained. Multiculturalism develops globalization because of the languages a multicultural person masters, which results in more individual fitness from a Darwinian point of view. This encourages a lot of people to learn at least a second and dominant and effective language so that they are not disadvantaged. English is the dominant world language that now nearly all advanced nations and companies require for their better jobs, followed by Spanish and French. But remember Tom Lehrer, and I'm learning Chinese, says Werner von Braun. A hunger for democracy can be observed all around the world. Witness the present movement in North Africa and the Near East. Most countries now have a constitution based on law to maintain peace in their society. Both such democratic movements and their legal underpinnings have their history in the experience of the Western European democracies. Most countries can now vote for their political leaders, and people have rights, and now human rights under law. Human rights were established by agreements of the United Nations and have been adopted almost universally. They have had a huge impact on the ethics of societies. The converse, though, is that now everyone in the world has a social responsibility, and you can't have rights without having responsibilities. Diseases have always crossed national borders. Witness the Black Death, which spread across Europe from December 1347 to December 1350. We have acquired a global lifestyle that also appears like an epidemic, but moving more slowly. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and some cancers, such as lung cancer due to smoking, are associated with this. We are now having to learn from studies on marginalized populations that the lifestyle we used to have had some advantages. As an example, we can mention osteoporosis leading to hip fractures in elderly people, especially women. First world countries appear to be particularly prone to this problem, and it may be related to the high an intake of animal protein, which richer people can afford and consume. Sports have also become globalized, and we can now watch the Olympics, Pan American Games, and the European World Football Cups on television. Although it is sometimes forgotten, events like these bring tourism and a lot of opportunities for the host countries. As the years go by, we see some races among the participants. We see more races among the participants and those who watch the games. And everywhere, it has become even more difficult to identify national characteristics. The effects of globalization appear in every aspect of our lives. Much of these effects are positive, but there are clearly negative aspects. We cannot turn back the clock, so we must learn to be on our guard and take advantage of the possibilities presented by globalization. Bye bye.